Hi, we're going to talk to you today about the bass drum, concert bass drum, how to care for it, the technique, different mallets. And first of all, you can see here, this is a pretty standard size concert bass drum, 36-inch. It's on this suspended stand that rotates. You can see that. You can put it all the way flat. You can put it all the way up. And I usually like to play it at about a 45-degree angle. Just makes it easier to play that way. Sometimes you do it flat, so that like someone can play at it from the other side if you need to, or it's easier to play rhythmic stuff that way. Now, bass drums, the best bass drums will have calfskin heads, so an actual animal skin versus plastic. Usually you see plastic in the schools. Some of them are better than others. The fiber skins are pretty good, and there's another Remo one, or Evans, makes some different ones. But calf is definitely the best. But it's expensive, and it requires a little more care because it changes the tension with humidity. And I've left it where it's been stored for a while, and I typically will store them a little bit tighter than what you would play it at least for like a bass drum. It's different for other instruments like bongos. You want to store those lower, but bass drum you want to crank it up a little bit. So it's gonna be a little bit on the high side, very high. You got rattling stuff here. So you want to get that lower. So I'm going to crank two at a time, going around, going down, and then I give a little push in the center to let it settle. Sounds about the same, so we do it again. Again, I'm turning just a quarter turn on each of these. So like, I don't know if you can, here's one. So it's flat, or it's parallel with the hoop. Quarter turn means it's now perpendicular to the hoop. So I do that, then I know where I was, and you do it relatively evenly around the drum rather than doing just straight around. Still high. Take it down again. Most of what you end up doing if you're playing on a calfskin bass drum, not most of what you're doing, but a big part of it is just getting it to be a good sound. So what I'm looking for is it needs to have a good tone, but it shouldn't start to sound like it has a pitch, or pitchy, some people call it. Actually, what I'm going to do is take it even too low. Let me go down one more. See, now that one's loose. And it's just kind of flabby. See, that's not a good sound. So, I'm going to take it up. Still a little on the low side. Doesn't have as good a tone yet. This sometimes takes a while. This may not be the most interesting video, but it's good to know this. Now you need to get the, even plastic heads, get them to a good place to get a good tone out of them. And the same principle applies. It's just that once you put the plastic there, it's going to stay there for a while, rather than going up and down with the humidity and the heat. Because when it's damp, the pitch goes down. When it's dry, like in your air conditioning, the pitch goes way up. I kind of like that now. You go one more just to see what that sounds like. See, now it starts to sound pitchy. I don't know if you can tell on the video, but it's a little bit too high. So I'm going to take it back down to what it was. And that's where we're going to hold it. So again, if you're playing in the hall, in a concert hall, and it just stays in that same spot, usually you can just leave it like that. But when I when I store mine, when I'm done playing it, I'll crank it up, because I may not need it for, weeks or months. So that's tuning the drum, and kind of want to show you what I've got here as far as the mallets. So you saw me using, these are kind of these are great for single notes and rolls. Like that. This is one of my favorites. It was one I kind of custom designed after another mallet that someone in the Seattle Symphony had. Had my friend Amy help me sew it, but it was my design. Nice and big. Gets a really good fundamental tone. And I have a couple of these if I need to do rolls. This is also another one that I designed. I had these dowels and put some weights on it. And again, Amy helped me with sewing the felt. And this is good for smaller bass drums too. But the weight, which I made adjustable, you see I can slide that up and down if I want to. The weight makes it so I can actually, play it on a big drum like this. These are some harder mallets. There's basically wood core inside that, and maybe a couple layers of felt. These are interesting. Two tones. So we got a hard here, and on the other side is a softer, kind of a more standard white felt. So the softer side. Hard side. And then this is kind of more of a general mallet, kind of an interesting look to it. But this is what you probably something like this at schools. And these are leather covered. You can also get wood. I didn't pull any of those out. I do have even more mallets. I just collected some over the years, a lot of different things. So those are the just a variety of different mallets you might use for the bass drum. We also have muffling. This was a car wash mitt. Someone recommended that before, so you could even stick your hand in there. Sometimes you want to muffle it with your hand on the drum. Sometimes you don't need that much. You muffle in between. Usually I don't muffle it while I have my hand on there, just because you want a better sound, but you can muffle it in between. Sometimes though, if I need articulation, I'll put like different amounts of fingers. One finger. Fingers a little more muffled, 3, 4, 5, my whole hand. Gotta make sure my ring doesn't vibrate. So you can get some articulation that way. And let's see, there's different kinds of muffling. Oh, here's another black one that looks a little nicer. Put that on there. Sometimes people will clip a towel. It'll be something like this. And they'll just clip it on there, and then you have it permanently muffled. You can flip it off, of course. Oh, and this is kind of nice. This has a little string on it. I can hook it around one of those, and I can press down if I need more. Some people they'll also use their knee for muffling. I don't really use that a lot. You have something to rest your foot on, and you can press your knee. You can also reach around the back. You have to have the drum more vertical for that. I think that's all like kind of the basic kind of equipment things with bass drum. So in the next video, we'll talk about more about technique and how to actually play it.